Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to play a riff that sounds like Whitesnake. In fact, I'm going to have Gunner play the core riff to one of their really killer tunes called Children of the Night. This riff is really awesome. He's going to play that for you, and I'm going to break that down. However, the real riff that we're going to learn in this video comes after that, which my Patreon supporters, you guys already have the tabs and backing tracks for that. Now, of course, hang around till after the lesson because we're going to have some guitar talk as we always do. But let's have Gunner play the Children of the Night riff. So that's actually the intro and the verses to this really killer song, Children of the Night by Whitesnake. And this is kind of one of those, I don't want to call it the B-side, but I think it kind of was, because it wasn't like a hit song. Maybe it was on the radio for a little bit here and there, but it was nothing as far as a hit compared to songs like Here I Go Again or something like Is This Love? You know, it wasn't even anywhere close to those songs. So still a really killer tune though. Let's go through this riff. I'm going to just break this down real quick. Then we're going to get to the real riff that I want you to learn. All right, so that first part there, we're barring the 3rd fret on the D and the G strings. And actually, this entire piece is just on those 2 strings, D and G, okay? Simplify it right away. But we're on the 3rd fret. What I'm doing, and I don't know if this is exactly how Whitesnake does it. I'm just kind of this is my interpretation, okay? If you think they played a different way, then by all means play it that way, right? But what I'm doing here is I'm first alternate picking that 3rd fret of the D string, just that one note right there, back and forth. Then I'm going to play both notes that are barred. So listen to this really carefully and watch my right hand. Okay, we do that twice, I believe, and then I'm going to play those 2 notes there, barred, 3rd fret, and slide up to the 5th fret. All right, next, we kind of do something similar. We're going to do that really quick alternate pick, and this is the technique that might take you a little time to get down here, but what I would say is just practice that one part. Then build on that. All right, so we're going to implement that technique once more on the next series of notes, which pretty simple here. We're still going to start on that 3rd fret of the D string, okay? The same little alternate picking tactic, right? We alternate pick that one note, 3rd fret D string, then we play both notes, which those notes that we're playing on the G string, okay, in conjunction with the D string, are going to be frets 2 and 3. Okay, watch my fingers up here. That's pretty much it, okay? Pretty simple. We're going to now take this concept, some of these things that we learned in this really killer Whitesnake tune, Children of the Night. We're going to apply them to a new riff, but we're going to add some more flavor to it. Let me get Gunner to play that for you because Gunner actually wrote this. So, hey Gunner, dude, let's kick off that new riff that you just wrote. Okay, so we start out with the same type of riff, and we're playing this on the D and G strings, just like the Whitesnake tune we just played. Again, what a killer tune. I'm going to go back and listen to that in the gym tomorrow. What's tomorrow? I think it's Arm Day. So yeah, some Whitesnake and arms. That's a cool combo. Anyway, let's get to this. So we're still on the D and the G strings. However, I'm moving the whole pattern up. Okay, so I'm starting out by barring the 5th fret. Okay, and I'm gonna do that little alternate pick, then play the two notes at the same time, right? So I'm gonna slide from 5th frets, okay, the 5th fret of the D and G string up to the 7th fret. Again, using that same tactic that we used before, okay? So that's basically an A that we're playing there, and we're in the key of A minor. And I'm sorry I didn't mention that in the earlier riff there, the Whitesnake riff, but we're in the key of A minor here, and what we just played is based on the A, meaning we've got the bass line. And again, my Patreon supporters, you guys have the tabs and the backing tracks to play along with. You got a backing track with the riff and another backing track with just the bass and the drums to play along with, so you can really do some creative stuff with that one. But you'll hear in those tracks the bass playing that A note throughout that first part there, okay? So that kind of helps keep you on track. But anyway, so that first part is basically an A, okay? A minor to be, technical, in the key of A minor, but we're playing an A. Then we're going to go to an F followed by a G, but we're going to play these power chords a little differently. I like to call these variations of power chords. The normal power chords would be, okay, F, G. However, we're going to do this instead. So to make this easy, the D string, the notes on the D string are going to be that root note, the root notes of the power chord, which is going to be your 3rd fret followed by your 5th fret, okay? F, G, right? But instead of playing the actual power chord, the regular power chord, what I like to call it, we're playing a variation of the power chord, which means our G string, we're gonna play 2 frets on that while we're playing that F note on the D string, okay? And those frets are gonna be 4 and 5. Killer sounding chord there. We use that same concept, meaning that we're going to play a variation of the G power chord when we go to that G. So when we go from the 3rd fret to the 5th fret here, our next notes on that G string, those are going to be the same thing that we played with the F note. So listen to this. Watch this carefully and listen to what I'm doing here. Now, I don't care so much that you play that exactly like I did it. These videos, guys, these videos I put out for you, these lessons, are more about just grasping the concept and taking these little bits and pieces into your own riffs. Now, we're already kind of using the Children of the Night Whitesnake riff to create this riff. Gunnar wrote this riff based on the Children of the Night song. So we've got something a little bit different here. Now, by the time he got done with it, it's a completely different riff, even though we're using some of the same strategies and tactics here, okay? So that's really what I want you guys to get out of this. So that's the first part of that, right? Now, the second time around on this riff, I do something a little bit different, okay? This part, that first part stays the same. But this next part, Well, that's what we do on the first time around. The second time around, I'm going to have you do something different. Check this out. Now, that's a cool sounding chord as well. So what we're doing, and kind of using the same concept in regards to just playing the variation of a power chord, right? We're not just playing the power chord. We're adding some more notes to it, adding some variety to it. This is really where you can expand on your riffs. If you kind of have a hard time, like, man, I can't come up with anything that fits this riff that I'm playing here, and you're playing around with power chords, well, just play around with the notes that surround that power chord, right? Especially that second note of the power chord. Doesn't always have to be that one root note followed by the fifth note of the power chord. You know, that next note can be something else. And that's when you start getting these different sounds and textures and different vibes and everything. So we're now barring the third fret of the A and the D strings, okay? And we're going to keep that root note there, which that's going to be a C, right? We're going to keep that root note there, and we're going to come down on the D string fifth fret. So, okay, so it's 3, 3, then 3, 5. That alone is a really nice strategy for your power chords when you want something different other than just a regular power chord. That alone will create wonders in your writing and in your music, okay? After that, we go to what would be a B, and this is kind of a stretch here. It would be a B over G, okay? So essentially we're keeping that fifth fret of the D string. We're keeping that note there. And then that first finger, you're going to use that first finger to go to the second fret of the A string. So let's run through that pattern one more time. All right, it is time for some guitar chat. We always have fun in these little discussions here. But real quick, remember, if you're a Patreon supporter, you have the tabs and backing tracks for the lesson we just went over. I do have a link to my Patreon if you'd like to become a supporter there. I also have other links in the description of this video here for my free metal riffs and licks practice guide. I know most of you have that already. And I've also got a couple of guitar courses, online guitar courses down there as well. So please check those out. Check those out in the YouTube description below. All right, let's talk about this song real quick, Children of the Night. Now, this song is on Whitesnake's self-titled album that was released in 1987. And I say this is kind of like a B-side song, meaning it wasn't one of their ultra hits. Now, this specific album has some ultra hits on it, 3 of them to be exact. This album has Is This Love?, Here I Go Again, and Still the Night. All those were like major hits during that era. And well, still today, I actually cover 2 of those songs in my acoustic gigs. I'll try to capture those on video for you at my next gig and put those out here so you can hear the acoustic version. Of course, I'm singing that in a much different key because I do not have David Coverdale's range. Anyway, back to this song. Now, real quick, this album was all recorded by John Sykes. That was their main guitar player. Now, they had some other musicians come in and like do solos and bass parts and of course keyboards and different backing vocals and that sort of thing. I believe Adrian was on, was it Vandenberg? I probably pronounced that name wrong. I think he played the solo on one song, and I believe also, who was it? Vivian Campbell played solo in another song, and a couple other musicians, but John Sykes was the core guitar player for this album. But the one thing that I love the most, I guess, about Whitesnake and a lot of other music during this era, this mid to late 80s era, was that they didn't always gravitate towards those lowest notes possible all the time. Yes, we love those. When you put on some old school Metallica, they're there. They're playing that E minor power chord throughout most of their songs. But Whitesnake utilized some other strings for a lot of their core rhythms, which I can really appreciate because it just gives you a different vibe and a different feel. And I guess one of the things I would encourage you guys to do is venture out. If you feel like everything that you're writing sounds the same, well, venture out, play some power chords and some notes on those D and G strings like we did in this song here, right? So, venture out and just play some more strings, play some more frets, try some different things, play in a different key. You notice when we played the Children of the Night song, now I believe they may have been tuned down. I don't know, don't quote me on that. They may have done that in a different tuning, but playing it on a 6-string guitar in standard tuning, we were actually, I believe, in the key of G minor. So yeah, I'm assuming Whitesnake tuned their guitars differently for that song. But anyway, we then learned a riff that Gunnar wrote for us, right, that was based on that, using the same strategies as Children of the Night. And that was in the key of A minor. So we're not gravitating again towards that heaviest key possible. Now, a beautiful thing is when you have some of those higher notes that you're playing, those higher rhythms, and then mix it in with those heavy notes, right? Alternate like chorus, verse, something like that. And I know I'm kind of throwing out some random things here, but I just want to give you guys some ideas to come up with some more creative riffs and not always go to the all the time in every single riff. I feel like today's, we're in 2022 filming this, I feel like there's this like, how low can you go trend going on. And guys, there's nothing wrong with that. I know I already sound like an old dude's like, oh, they just don't make them like they used to. A part of me feels that way, but I'm not knocking low notes. I know a lot of people play 7-string guitar. I'm actually parting ways with mine soon. Some people play 8 strings and whatever. Some people like to down tune. Look, to each their own. All that stuff is great. But even if you're down tuned, or even if you're playing a 7 or 8 string guitar, hey, venture out. There's other notes on that guitar. There's other frets. There's other strings, Play those low notes, play those, low, heavy notes. I don't necessarily equate low notes to heavy. I think heavy is more of a feeling, where low notes more of a sound. That's something we can talk about in a different video, but play those other notes throughout the fretboard, throughout the guitar, and play those different strings. Integrate both in there, and you just have more possibilities. You just have more textures, more character, and it's also a good way to further your signature tone, your signature sound once you start venturing out into these other areas. We all have our comfort zones, right? We all have our little comfort zones on guitar. There's good and bad to that. There's bad in the sense that, okay, well, we're always here. Every riff, every song is going to sound the same. You can name some bands, especially like throughout the 90s. I won't name them, but you pop in their album and then every song starts in the same key with almost the same riff. And it's like, okay, you're at track 3. Didn't they just play this? I'm at track 5 and now 7. Everything sounds the same, right? So this is a way to venture out from that. Now, the good thing about having your comfort zone is we do kind of harness our own style, okay? And that may be in certain places of the fretboard most of the time. That's okay. I just challenge you to venture out sometimes. That just kind of broadens your sound, and I think it personalizes your sound a little bit more as well. Guys, I hope that made all sense. As always, please let me know your thoughts in the comments. I love reading your comments down there. Don't forget to check the links in the description of this YouTube video. Got a lot of stuff in there for you. My free practice guide, metal riffs and licks, my guitar courses. Right now I've got the beginner's metal guitar course, Metal Guitar Apprentice, and then I've got, of course, what I call my flagship metal rhythm course called Metal Riff Master. So the links to all of those great things are in the description of this YouTube channel. Folks, please give this a thumbs up. YouTube likes that, and hey, I appreciate it too. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please make sure you subscribe to my channel. I'm always cranking out content like this. And guys, thank you so much for all the support you give me here on YouTube and my music. I appreciate you guys. Until the next video, you know what to do. Keep it metal.